Hello everyone and welcome to PlayStation Access. I think it's fair to say we're obsessed with Ratchet Clank Rift Apart at the moment and just cannot get over how excellent it feels to smash open a crate and hoover up all those little nuts and bolts. I mean, just look at this. Can you blame us? In the spirit of things, we thought we'd dedicate a whole Tuesday checklist to talking about similarly satisfying experiences to double down on when video games really hit the spot for some bumper edition of satisfaction. First up, we have Nath.
Okay, so my most satisfying gaming moment. I'm going to cheat by saying some ones that I'm not choosing, which I'm sure maybe everyone was tempted to do. And it's because there are things in games which repeat, which I find extremely satisfying. And so some of the things I was thinking about were, we've all just done Ratchet Clank recently, we've played Rift Apart. The bolts being magnetized and flying into your body, extremely satisfying. I think that probably hits on like a childhood memory of collecting rings in Sonic. There are other games which do similar things. I've written notes. The tiny noise, and I don't really know where it comes from. Is it supposed to be something sharp entering flesh that happens when you shoot people in COD? You're so far away you can't hear them, but that noise, that's really good anyway. You get a little X on the screen. This was nearly my number one, and it's just in general, there's a mini game in Bishi Bashi Special called Uncle Bean, where a man there are 4 colours of bean which go in the sky. In the air, he's like juggling them, and he has to put his face one way or the other to eat them, and you have to press the corresponding colour on the controller, and that gets very fast at the end. And if you don't miss any and just go perfectly without him going, that's incredibly satisfying. But my real answer is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and really specifically there was a moment, that face, Ash, what was that face?
It's a game everyone can relate.
It was like eating a lemon.
I'm thinking about how unsatisfying I found dying all over the place.
Well, that was it. I think so. There is, I think I could, a couple of moments. The combat in the game is brilliant, and it's on this ridiculous learning curve. It's not really a curve, it's like a right angle. And it is challenging, and then there's my experience was understanding the game. The hardest moment in the game is probably around the halfway mark, I would say. It's the first time you fight a character called Genichiro on a rooftop, on top of a castle, and he's got a second phase which is just awful. And that is like a test of fire. There's a phrase I'm sure I've forgotten, but once you've done the test of fire,
baptism of fire.
Thank you, Rob. Yes, once you've done the baptism of fire, then you enter a period of like maybe being a little bit ahead of the game, and then by the end, the very final boss it combines 2 enemies. It's like a redux against Genichiro, and then you fight another character again called Ishin, and he is still really, really hard. It's a 3-phase boss, and it's incredibly difficult. But that first time, Genichiro, I think, is actually the character that kills you in that sort of From Software way right at the beginning of the game. It's like, hey, have this really hard encounter. It's possible. So it's then, and then on the rooftop, and then again at the end, and he's like a demon, and he's got wings, and he looks crazy at the end. And it was like at the end of The Matrix, where Neo just is fighting with one arm and like picking bullets out of the sky. I almost felt sorry for this incredibly intimidating boss, because once you understand what he's doing and you know how the game works, it's like he signals what he's doing, and you just take a small step backwards, and he does this enormous leap. You just tread on his sword and stab him, and then do it again, and then he summons the spirit of his great grandfather and he kills you. But that moment was the most satisfying, just realizing that that I'd learnt something, I was good at something in a game, not in real life. So that was it. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
That's a moment you have to really work hard for, though.
Yeah.
You have to really work for that, like all the others, like nice little noises.
Right, just hitting a crate.
And then hoovering up bolts.
Yeah.
You've picked a moment that you've really had to
be
dig
fair,
deep to get the satisfaction.
I think that you're doing an injustice to the hours that I put into mastering Uncle Bean. To be honest,
actually, yeah,
I got very good at Uncle Bean.
Right, so my satisfying video game moment, I kind of thought of a few, the same as Nath, and then settled on one that I worked very hard for, the same as Nath, because that's the most satisfying thing in games. The most satisfying thing in video games is winning, and I like winning.
Is your entry just winning?
It could be, but no, I'm talking about Hollow Knight again, because I love Hollow Knight so deeply, so dearly. It's that wonderful blend. I'm looking straight down the camera. It is that wonderful blend of like creepy and challenging and Moorish, and gives you little wins the whole time. So you can be like, oh, I've done that. Give me some more. I'm going to consume it. So it's just wonderful and beautiful, and I love it. I love it so much. My words do not work when I talk about it. So I'm talking about Hollow Knight again because I played Hollow Knight in January, maybe January to February. We are now in June. And it's taken me until now to do one of the challenges in Hollow Knight, and it was the most satisfied I've ever felt in a video game. It was the Pantheon of the Sage. So I've done all of the difficult bits of Hollow Knight. And I thought the Colosseum of Fools was as hard as it gets, which is basically there's 3 different challenges where you have to fight loads of different like mini bosses and enemies throughout the game and, you know, defeat the Colosseum basically of Fools. I don't know why they're called Fools. I think it's because it's very silly and difficult to fight all these enemies. Straight down the lens again. But yeah, so the Colosseum of Fools, I thought that was as hard as it gets because the last round is so difficult and has this specialised boss called the God Tamer, and you've got to take down the God Tamer after doing all of these other enemies and just like, you know, absolutely be hard as nails. And I did it with 1 mask of health left, and I was like, I am the best, I am the knight. Nothing else could be as difficult as this, surely. And then the Pantheons, which is basically the God Tamer like section, where you go to this beautiful golden realm of lovely, beautiful, cocooned people that all talk in riddles like you're a little worm in their world, and make you fight all of the bosses in the game in different orders. So there's 3 Pantheons that you can see straight away. There's a Pantheon of, I can't remember the first name of the first one.
You're looking at me, and I have played the game.
Yeah.
And I barely understand anything you're saying. Like in terms of, I've forgotten all of this. I've done the Fools. I've never done any of the Pantheons. I dropped off well before this.
Wow.
You're doing great work. So what? But you're kind of aiming for the platinum overall.
I'm aiming for the platinum, which means you have to do the Pantheons, which means pain.
And how far?
Pantheons.
And how far through them are you?
So there's 5 altogether, and but the third one is the most satisfying because it's very hard. So it's taken me months and months and months to get to the point to even be able to think about doing this third Pantheon. So I got to the Pantheon of the Sage, which is the third one of 5, the third one, and these 10 bosses. I told you God Tamer I really struggled with in the Colosseum of Fools. It got to this one, and the first few I was like, okay, this isn't as bad, maybe I'll be able to do it like the second one. Remember, started this in January, we're now at June, this is how long it has taken for me to learn. The God Tamer's in this one, like it's like the one right like in the middle, so it's number 4 or 5 I think, and then there's another boss that's very hard called Troop Master Grimm, and he is... I don't...
I feel like we
Your face said it all.
This has become more of a therapy session.
I'm talking so much about it. Anyway, going through all of that, getting to the end, I think I've said enough words to demonstrate how satisfying it was, how many months it took, how much training and effort, how much life it took from me to defeat Nail Master, Nail Sage, Sly. My hands shake. Like it was it. Oh my God. Again, I did it with 1 mask left. God Tamer went down. Troop Master Grimm went down. Umu went down. The almighty Zote went down. Grey Prince Zote went down. And now I only have 2 more to do, which is the completely dissatisfying thought of all of this, is that there's still more to get to the end of Hollow Knight.
But
and
you're
I'm not
over
there
halfway
yet.
now.
I'm over halfway.
Yeah.
I'm over halfway.
That's
And
very
also,
cheery, Rob.
You've said now that you're going to get the platinum on a video.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Damn.
you've concreted it in.
One day I will. It's going to be in many years.
Platinum Monday's going to be the last Pantheon, surely.
The last Pantheon. The last Pantheon is every single boss in the game. It's like 40 bosses, including the last boss of the game, who's a big moth that's very angry and shoots lots of swords. And the big moth is like a new specialised moth. I'm going to stop talking now. It was very satisfying doing that third Pantheon. It was great. I loved it.
Okay, so my most satisfying video game moment, like everyone else, I'm going to list off a bunch that I didn't choose. I'm going to just list one. It's boosting in Crash Team Racing, nitro fueled.
Ooh.
When you nail the boosts and you get the blue flame and you hold the blue flame for like a lap 2 laps, and you just get so good at a track that you can hold the blue flame for like the whole thing. Oh,
Mate,
I'm
so-
feeling you there.
it's
Like,
so good.
I think I once boosted one corner.
The speed on it is great. But the moment I've chosen is in Ghost of Tsushima, and I think this is the most satisfying thing you can do in Ghost of Tsushima, and it's how I like to play it. You're not allowed to put the armor on. You have to put on like the Wanderer's robes, sort of like I can't remember what they're called, but the robes of the traveller. And you just walk around the world with your flute, like you're some kind of just wandering,
I'm sold.
amazing samurai, just do 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 do, and just keep walking around the world until eventually you meet a group of baddies doing baddie things. You just keep walking, and maybe they don't even notice you. If they don't notice you, then good for them. Because if they decide to start, then I like to do. It's so filmic. It's like something out of a samurai movie, isn't it? They come at you, and I don't even activate the standoff. None of that. Just the flute. I keep the flute up as long as I can, and they'll come in like doing all their "Whoa, get out of here! Whoa, I'm gonna beat you up" kind of stuff, and you just stand there still.
Are you playing your songs still?
As long as you can, yeah.
Yeah.
But sort of like, at this point you're just... And you can tell, like the audience, if this was a film, the audience would know. They would know the bad guy's about to get annihilated without this flute dude even getting touched. I love the dramatic irony of that. Whenever it's like a film like that where it's setting up the badass main character, they always bring these idiot goons in at the beginning who are going to get killed. And that's the most satisfying thing about it, is they come swinging in, and you get to a point where you're so good at the combat in Ghost of Tsushima that you encounter these roving bands of Mongols and you just know you're going to slaughter them without getting touched. And it's amazing to get the timing right where you just drop the flute, the sword comes out like and like in a second you and Jin just like holds it there, and the last one would be like blood coming out, and then just flops to the floor, and then Jin would do the slow put the samurai sword away, you do the little bow, and you just get out the flute again. You just keep walking on, and like the birds will be singing in the trees, the water will be like lapping against the shore, there'll be leaves falling down, and it looks all beautiful, and I just like to just walk through the game doing that.
Surrounded by corpses.
Yes, it's so satisfying. That's like, it's the ultimate samurai wish fulfillment for me. That's what they do in the movies, and that's what I like doing in the game. It's all, it's all very well and good putting on your samurai armor and charging around on your horse and leaping from your horse and chopping them down and doing standoffs and climbing up on roofs and doing aerial assassinations. That's all cool, yeah. But the absolute coolest, most satisfying way to play it is as the wandering, flute-playing samurai who no one suspects is as amazing as they are until they get annihilated by them in seconds.
This is what I like about this, is that it reminds me so much of the way that you told us that as a child you would play that level in, was it Metal Gear Solid 2 or the ship, where you would imagine you were in a film or making of the same thing. But I love that for you it's like the depth of playing. It's like, I'm not just playing this game, I am creating something, and there's an imaginary audience. And even then when you were telling us, you're like, the audience would think this, and then I do this.
And if you get it wrong though, like it has to, you have to start again. That's what I have with the Metal Gear Solid. Like even if you kill all the baddies, if one of them has touched you, it's like, wow, that I'll have to go and I have to go and find another group
Again.
now. I have to go and find another group. But when you pull it off, so satisfying.
Well, we've had many wonderful, satisfying stories. We've had Nath with his satisfying boss moment, which I was thinking of as well. I was like, the moment in Cuphead, when you get a knockout and you're, after seeing the it's Cuphead on the bar, like, when he's just there and you're like, I had a little bit left. And when you get that knockout, it's like, whoa. And we've had the wonderful Hollow Knight, and we had the story of the Toot Man.
I believe you said the tutor, Rosie.
Oh, the tutor. For context, I said it off camera, and Ash said you have to say it on camera. They must know of the tutor. So my one, I've gone for a classic, satisfying moment, one that I think hopefully a lot of you out there will agree with, and it's not with Mr. Bandicoot, which I was very tempted. I was very tempted to do when you get the third Aku Aku mask and then you have the drums going like, dum, 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 and that's all great. But the moment I've gone for is in Spyro Year of the Dragon at the very end, where Moneybags decides he doesn't want any of your money anymore, and he's going to try and steal a dragon egg, and Spyro isn't having any of that. And it's the moment where you chase Moneybags in the final area or final level hub world, and you take all of the gems that he's taken off for you. You take them all back. It's the moment where, after going through Spyro 2 and 3 of paying him to lower a bridge, to open a door, to all the stupid things, you know, when you want to save everyone and get the gems and kill the baddies, and he's just like, oh, Spyro, I see you've come across my door. Well, for a couple of gems, I might be able to persuade the gatekeeper to open it for you. And then you're like, fine, Moneybags, take my money, there you go. Like,
Are you making it rain on Moneybags there?
Is he dancing?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Spyro just goes on in, he's like splashing the gems. And then at the very last moment where you just see Moneybags, he's just on a bridge and he's just like, oh no, Spyro, I don't need your gems anymore. I found a dragon egg and I'm going to sell it for a fortune. And of course in Spyro 3, you're saving the dragon eggs, you know, they're dragons. You don't want them to go, they're your friends and family. So that's kind of like Spyro's last call, and he's just like, no, not having any of this anymore. So, you know, rather than just, you know, telling Moneybags no, you chase him the whole time around this area, just keep on chasing him, and every time you hit him, floods of yellow and purple gems come your way, and they're the expensive ones. They're the ones that are like 25 or... Oh, I think one's 25 and I can't remember how much the other one is. By the way, they're the two biggest amounts and you know, the rarest ones you get. And to see them all just flooding into Spyro going like ching, 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 ching after you've just hit Moneybags in the butt, like, and he's going, oh, and all that stuff. You can either charge or you can use your flame. Either way, just after going through Spyro 2 and 3, putting up with Moneybags money grabbing rubbish, like to finally in the third game just be like, right, that's it. Going for him, charging, flaming him, just getting those gems back, and then at the end he just goes drat, 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 drat. It's so satisfying.
So I've not played Spyro. My understanding was that it's a family-friendly game. This is the story of you cornering an extortionist and beating them until all of your money is returned.
Well, you don't corner him. He doesn't. That doesn't sound any better, but he does run.
He's running and screaming.
Spyro kind of gives him a bit of a warning. Like, apparently, in the dialogue, Moneybags goes like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" So you know, you pretty much think that Spyro's being like, Spyro's not happy.
He's gone behind the eyes.
Yeah, and you know, telling Spyro the dragon, who Moneybags knows has been saving the dragon eggs, that he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna sell this egg for a fortune, mate." You know, not the best idea. But anyway, that's my classic satisfying moment. I've done it many times. Like, I love Spyro Year of the Dragon, one of my favorite games of all time. I've charged in this butt many times, and each time it's always just as satisfying. Oh yeah, but each time it's always super satisfying, and yay, I love Spyro.
Satisfying to charge the butt of Moneybags.
Charged in his butt.
And get the gems back, definitely.
Several times.
I'm sort of a bit concerned about my entry. Don't know where it's come from, and when it came into my head, I thought, oh. Should I tell everybody this is my most satisfying thing in video games? And here we are. So don't judge me. I worry because it's extremely violent. And that ain't me. But yeah, I think I'm going to cut to the chase. It's not even one moment, it's almost everything in Hotline Miami. And I think that the reason Hotline Miami might be the epitome of this is because they're working with so little. Like, it's like a top-down pixel art game in very small environments. The floor is like, outside of the room is just like a glowing neon mess. And somehow, you know, that they have managed to make just everything is so satisfying. Everything you do in that game is so satisfying. I love just like beating someone to death with a golf club. It's great. I particularly love if you walk in and you smash open a door and someone flies back and they sit against the wall. Then you can run over and you can just beat their head until it pops. But the most satisfying thing I think in Hotline Miami is when, and it doesn't happen very often for me anyway, is when you act purely on instinct. Because it's like the whole thing about the game is you play it very quickly and, well, no, you don't have to. You can play it slowly and you can think, and it's like a bit like a puzzle. And that's probably how I mostly play it. But then sometimes when I haven't thought enough, something will go wrong. And that moment when you have to act on instinct and it goes right is just the best. When you don't even know what you don't think, oh, I should do this, or you don't think I'll press that button, it just happens. Like, I think probably the epitome for me is, someone runs in who you didn't see, you just turn on a dime and you throw whatever you're holding and it knocks them out. That's just the best. And I don't know how they've done that. I don't know how they've done that, and I don't know how I've done it. I don't know how I've, it's so playable that you can instinctively act. I don't know if I do that in any other game. Like, I play a lot of Call of Duty, and I'd love to think that I instinctively just pull the trigger when a bad guy pops up, and it just doesn't happen. I go, oh, there he is! Wait a minute! But in Hotline Miami, just amazing, and it's just so satisfying every time.
It has you on your toes, though, doesn't it, that game? So you're constantly in a state of...
Yeah, that is true. I mean, yeah, you can't relax. It's not like, I'm going to sit there. Although I did used to love getting on a train and playing it on my Vita. But maybe not relaxing. It's not the sort of after a hard day at work. Although maybe. I mean, actually, it could be the perfect thing. It might be the perfect respite from a difficult day.
Isn't that person in The Last of Us Part 2 playing it on the Vita?
That was not a relaxing day.
Just before they get killed.
That is a good point. Yeah, that's the soundtrack. The soundtrack is from I remember.
Isn't it the song is like
yeah,
that one?
Yeah, it does help that the soundtrack in Hotline Miami is amazing.
I was going to say the sounds of picking things up, and the door. But there's like a crunch when you pick up guns.
Yeah, I think I do think it's the pop of a head. There's a head pop.
You've trumped everybody.
Yeah, they've got so many different animations for it. There's so much contextual stuff where, like I said, where they will slump against a wall. It's just, I don't know. They spent so much time working on just the actual horror of it. It's impressive. But kudos. Hotline Miami is amazing, and it is my most satisfying gaming moment ever, apparently. And I will be seeking help immediately after we stop filming.
But I've gone similar to you, Rob. I've gone for another moment, which I think
Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my God! Sorry, I'm actually not.
I was thinking really hard about that.
Let's do it as a stream.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
It's just Rob walking around for 90 minutes, tooting,
playing
and
the flute and killing baddies.
And then you got to get the perfect shot. The MGS2 one was a success. I think this will genuinely be a big thing.
Apart from that pun, what do you think is the most satisfying moment in a video game? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more PlayStation goodness, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
PlayStation